Welcome back to another video, man. All praise to the Most High. Today we have 3 chilling true horror stories. Let's get right into it.
This happened in the fall of 1993 when I was 20 years old. In the interest of context, this was before I started college, and I was working in the material prep department of a plastics factory on the night shift. I was the only woman in the department, and my male coworkers were initially skeptical that I could handle the job, but I proved myself and earned their respect. It was hard work, but on the plus side, it was also putting me in the best shape of my life. It was also about this time that I dumped my abusive boyfriend. He was verbally, emotionally, and physically abusive to me, as well as an alcoholic. This fact, more than anything, is probably why I got myself into this situation in the first place. I had just gotten off of work and it was about 1:30 a.m. My car was running on fumes, so I stopped at a local gas station to fill up. While I was pumping gas, a woman about my age approached me looking nervous and scared. She said that she had been in her boyfriend's house and they had a fight. She walked to the gas station to use the pay phone and call a friend to pick her up. On her way to the station, a car pulled up as she was walking, and the guys inside started catcalling and harassing her. With a slight movement of her head, she indicated a car that was parked off to the side by the gas station dumpsters. I saw a large light green car, like a Caddy or a Lincoln, with at least 2 or 3 shadowy figures inside. She said they threatened her and she was too scared to call her friend and wait. The woman was neat, well dressed, and didn't seem high or drunk or anything like that. She just seemed really nervous and freaked out, so I didn't even hesitate. I finished pumping my gas and told her to hop in the car, that I'd take her home. At that time on a weeknight, there was little traffic, so I booked it right out of the gas station and asked where she lived. She kept twisting around in the seat to see if the car was behind us, and when I asked her to put her seatbelt on, she ignored me and kept looking for the car. I assumed that she was just scared.
First red flag, get out.
2 blocks down the road, however, I noticed she was looking around the car and she started asking me about money. Where's your purse? Where's your bag? I need money. You need to give me some money. My stomach sank. I have this woman in my car, now she's going to rob me. Dang. But when I thought about it, robbery just didn't make much sense. I was driving a 1985 Chevette, affectionately nicknamed Shitbox, and was wearing my work clothes, a ratty t-shirt and jeans with combat boots. I did not look like a person with a lot of cash, primarily because I wasn't a person with a lot of cash. She twisted around in the seat again and started yelling. There they are, there they are. She didn't sound scared anymore. I checked the rear view and sure enough, the light green car is right behind me. She started cackling and bouncing up and down in the seat. My boys are going to mess you up, bitch. You're done.
Yeah, you getting up on my car. And I'm not stopping. Ejectocito, cuz y'all already know how that goes.
She's laughing like crazy, opening the glove box, looking in the back for a bag or purse, and telling me all the messed up shit these guys are planning to do.
In here.
Now, if I'd been smart, I would have just driven to the police station.
Exactly.
Actually, if I'd been very smart, I would have called the cops from the gas station and waited with her until they arrived. That would have been the intelligent.
You ain't had to wait with her.
Unfortunately, none of this crossed my mind until later. In the moment, I just got really angry. I realized 3 things all at once. There was an intersection up ahead with cars on either side waiting to cross, and the light had just turned yellow. I had a spare box cutter that I kept for work in the driver's side door compartment. Crazy psycho next to me hadn't put on her seatbelt yet either. I didn't think. I floored it and passed under the yellow light just as it turned red. I glanced back to see if the green car was still behind me, but the cross traffic at the intersection had started to move, and they hadn't caught up. This crazy woman started yelling. I slammed on the brakes, and she hit the dash and windshield with a solid and viciously satisfying crack. When she rebounded to the passenger seat, I had the box cutter in her face and was screaming some pretty crazy stuff. I can't remember exactly what I said, but it was along the lines of, "Get the heck out of here. Get out of my car before I cut off your face and make you eat it."
Wow.
The crazy screaming box cutter combo worked. She grabbed blindly at the handle and popped open the door. Yet I started shoving and punching her until she tumbled out of the door to the curb, stomped on the gas, got to the next turn, and squealed around it with the passenger door still open. I made a few more turns because I was afraid that the green car might catch up to me. After a little while, I stopped to close the passenger door. Then I cut across town and got into the highway to go home. I was on the highway for about 5 minutes before the shake started. I pulled off to the shoulder to calm down and get my stuff together, and I drove home. I told my sister, I was living with her temporarily after the breakup with my ex, everything that happened. She wrapped me in a tight bear hug while simultaneously yelling about how stupid I was for not going to the police. I've never been so glad to be yelled at in my life.
Man, bro, why you even allowing somebody like that to get in your car? See what happened. See what happened when you try to be in Captain Save a hoe? Oh yeah, I need this, I need that. Get in! Come on! You got me. I don't know you, man. I don't know. Maybe I'm just not a good person.
This is a real story that has absolutely traumatized me and my boyfriend. 2 years ago, I moved to the UK for university, as I always wanted to go there and get away from my parents, as the situation at home was beginning to become too toxic for me. In my first year at university, I moved into student accommodation and met some really great people. It was a good year, without meeting my boyfriend who I'm still with, and just enjoying my time away from my family and discovering what independence really meant. Anyhow, as the second year came by, I decided with some friends to move into a house rented by student accommodations, but at least we had our own house and weren't restricted as much with noise and parties as living in a small shared flat like in the first year. Note, I had a ground floor room and my window gave into a very small backyard in which I would go smoke every day, as I am a smoker, and in which there would be a very thin wooden door giving into the other side of the street, where you would put your bins and broken chairs. The door could only be closed and locked from inside the backyard, but since it was an old door, we had to attach some things to keep it closed for good. I had neighbors on each side of the house, so we were surrounded by families and some other student accommodations. The neighbors on the right of us were 5 boys who looked way over the age of being in university. They were strange, so to say. I met one of them outside of our house one day because of a police intervention, due to one of his flatmates attacking him and the others with a kitchen knife and burning their kitchen down. I heard some screams, and so I went outside with my flatmates and saw one of them being covered in blood and cuts everywhere on his arm, and a wound on his head inflicted by a kitchen knife. I and my flatmates didn't know what to do, so we offered him help to clean himself up and gave him an old t-shirt to change out his bloody clothes. We then saw the guy who hurt these flatmates being escorted out by the police and into a van and driven off to be arrested. I don't know anything more about the story. The police didn't really tell us anything. Anyway, the guy who we helped was quite weird. He said a lot of BS and kept trying to grab me and flirt with me, and we noticed when helping him he smoked quite a lot of weed, but we just didn't really care at the moment, as we wanted to make sure he was alright, as we didn't know him. Then after some time had passed, I would go to uni.
He's sitting there flirting with you and touching you, and you steady sitting there, oh, I want to make sure he alright. Man.
Come back home and see him quite often in the street, and just never say a word to him again. But one day he came up to me in the street while I was going to the corner shop and started talking to me weirdly, and I didn't feel comfortable at all with it for some reason, so I just didn't respond.
Just keep walking.
He then said, that's okay. I'll just wait in front of your house then, and we can talk further. No need to say, I was insanely creeped out and just thought he was joking, so
police!
I bought my drink at the shop and headed back to my street. And as I turned into the street where my house was, I saw him with his flatmate sitting on my doorstep and waiting for me. So I panicked and went back to the corner shop and called my only guy flatmate to ask him to open the door and tell the guys to go away. But obviously he wasn't home, as no one else was either. So I literally just waited it out until they left 1 hour later, and then sprinted back home and locked the front door. Note, my front door had a glass panel on it where you would be able to kind of make out who was standing in front of it. As this was already pretty scary, I just tried to avoid the guy and mostly succeeded for a little while.
It's crazy.
Then one day, as I went smoking into the backyard, I noticed that the wooden floor, which is always closed, was open, and the strings that we put there to keep it closed were cut off. For whatever reason, I didn't think anything of it and just closed the door again and put a new string on it, thinking it was one of my flatmates who took the bins out and just didn't tie it back. The weird neighbors would very often scream and yell and fight in their house, and it would wake me and my flatmates up in the middle of the night, but we kind of got used to it after a little while. But one evening, my boyfriend slept over like he usually does, and he, who usually never wakes up because of a noise, woke up in the middle of the night because of a bang and some whispering. I was sound asleep, so he very silently woke me up, and we both just waited in the dark and listened for any other noises. Suddenly, we heard the wooden door just bang, just shoot right open, and some footsteps next to my window. I always had my window open because it would get really warm in there, so we both just froze.
That boy up in
then we
there,
heard the door leading to the backyard get shaken softly as if they were trying to get inside, and then they stopped.
Oh,
luckily,
no,
we
sir.
had the curtains closed so they couldn't see us, but we were ready to get dressed and get the heck out of the room and lock them in if they came in from the window. Then we just heard my window move and get more open, and one of the guys said something in a different language that we didn't understand, and started to hear them trying to get in. My boyfriend and I just shot up out of the bed, took my phone, put clothes on, and ran out of the room and out of the house. So I then called my flatmates and told them to lock themselves in their rooms.
You steady calling you calling everybody except for the police. And I don't even like the police. What is wrong with you? Like, you a little slow up here or something? Like, what? Yo, I'm gonna call my flatmate. Man, get the
And then the police, who luckily came in less than 5 minutes, as the headquarters were a couple of streets down from us. I don't remember anything else after the police came. I think my boyfriend and I were in shock. They ended up catching one guy. The other fled and was later found a few streets up smoking weed. The police told us they went inside of their house and found a lot of meth and heroin, and that they were actually just carrying a massive kitchen knife with them. I was so confused, as I've never done anything to offend or do anything wrong to my neighbors, so the idea of them breaking in with who knows what intentions with a kitchen knife terrorized me and my boyfriend. The two guys ended up being arrested, and one of them was put in prison for 2 years for carrying a weapon with the intention to harm. I never heard anything else from the police, and I moved back home a few months later as I was scared, and it tormented me for months on end, not knowing what would have happened if my boyfriend didn't wake up. I'm now still coping with it and finding it really tough to get over it. Always asking myself what if and what would have happened if. I now very often wake up because of the slightest noise and get horrible nightmares because of it. But hey, at least I'm still with my boyfriend and we often talk about it, and that helps a lot.
You better not ever cheat on that man, I tell you that. You better not ever cheat on him. And you better be a great girlfriend, because he probably saved you from a lot more trauma than that. You think that was bad?
During college, I dated a fairly well-known and talented local musician named Tim. As horrible boyfriends tend to do in the beginning, he was a loving, attentive, charismatic, seemingly normal partner. He made me mixtapes, cooked me my favorite meals, and dedicated songs to me at open mics around town. I, young, foolish, naive, was deeply smitten by his mysterious, dark, artistic allure. However, over the course of our year-long relationship, his mental health severely declined. He had the ability to appear lucid and normal around other people, but in private he began suffering delusions, compulsively lying, and creating art that focused on themes of rape and murder. I was worried sick, and his condition was exhausting, but I did my best to be kind, understanding, and supportive. I loved him and believed that he shouldn't have to struggle with his mental illness alone. One time he vanished without a trace for a full day. I found his apartment empty. Lights on, front door wide open, phone on his nightstand. I took a few deep breaths and called all around the city for hours before finally discovering he had been involuntarily checked into a mental hospital. I did my best to be strong.
Who called him?
Seeing him every day during supervised visitation hour, bringing him his favorite books to pass the time, and holding him as he cried that it was all a mistake, that he did not belong there. It was surreal to see my gentle, intelligent, normal, albeit depressed boyfriend surrounded by visibly insane, long-term psychiatric ward patients. For real, the place was like something out of a horror movie. In retrospect, none of the staff ever told me the real reason why he was there, and I was too polite and naive to ask. Our relationship ended a few months later. I found undeniable evidence that he was cheating on me and, secretly relieved, confronted him. I told him to leave my apartment and never come back. He cracked. The gentle Tim I had known and loved melted away to reveal a new persona with dead, wild animal eyes. He threatened to kill someone unless I took him back, but I was so extremely done that I called the police. They weren't much help, but Tim left. I blocked him everywhere and never contacted him again, but he left me insane voicemails from different numbers for weeks.
That's how you're supposed to do it.
I was relatively unshaken and things returned to normalcy. I graduated and got a sweet job in the same cool college city. 6 months later, I woke up to concerned texts from my mutual friends saying that they didn't want to freak me out, but Tim was off his meds, clearly manic, and was posting a nearly written song all over social media. His best friend, who hadn't been in touch since before the breakup, sent me an apology along with a screenshot of the lyrics. That got my attention. I won't copy-paste them here because they'll lead back to his Bandcamp, but the song was pretty explicitly about my assault and murder, but in a sort of clever, disguised way. It's catchy too, that bastard. Checked his profile.
Hey, that'd be a female worst thing. That'd be their worst fear about dating somebody that make music. Cause if y'all fall out, we know a heartbreak due to somebody, and your ass just might be a victim. Anybody that make music has a small chance of making a hit song. It's a small chance, and you might be the motherfucker that inspired that hit song. You better hope he don't name drop you in it, cause your ass grass.
Totally insane rambling statuses, most of them about me. They flip-flop between flowery love prose and murder imagery. His friends were reacting with concern, but a few egged him on, probably thinking he was just venting. I decided it'd be best to continue ignoring him, but I saved screenshots just in case. A few days later, while at work, I looked up from my computer to see Tim enter the far side of the studio. My blood turned to ice. He was talking to my creative director. It looked cordial enough, and I saw Tim begin to casually scan the studio. I ducked down and bolted into my favorite project manager's office, slammed the door, and unleashed upon her what must have been a nearly unintelligible explanation of what was happening. I was shaking so
Police,
hard I could
that's what you
speak.
do.
But Nancy was amazing. She understood almost immediately. She snuck me out of the building and drove me in her car to the police station, where
Smart
I showed
lady.
officers the screenshots and filed the report. My coworkers later told me that Tim was there to inquire about the open designer position.
No, you won't.
But he is not a designer. He had brought with him a portfolio and an elaborately fabricated work history that sounded legit. At the end of his interview, he casually asked if I still worked there. He said we used to collaborate. Oh, and he had written a song for me, and it had been picked up by the local radio this morning. He asked my coworkers to let me know with warmest regards.
It's on the radio?
That phrase still makes my skin crawl.
Oh,
He then left, found my abandoned car in the parking lot, and paced behind it until the police arrived. Unfortunately, he wasn't enough of a public menace for police to bring him in that day, but the incident helped me to secure a restraining order against him. My company was amazing too. I was deeply embarrassed about my literally insane ex coming to the studio, but the CEO filed trespassing charges against him and created an action plan to keep me safe if it happened again. Not long afterwards, I moved to a different city, and that was that. I haven't heard from him since, but I discovered the most alarming part after. His roommate at the time, Liz, went through a similar experience with him during his breakdown, and when we compared notes much later, she said she had seen a large axe in Tim's car the same week it had all calmed down. She said that she was worried about Tim's Facebook activity, so she removed the axe and hid it. Tim was so angry that he completely trashed their house and never came back. And if our timelines are correct, that must have been just before he came into my workplace for his interview.
Man, it's insane what you gotta do to just because you decide to deal with a certain
I had
person.
a stalker from Xbox Live try to find me at work 2 days ago on Monday. I'm only 17.
What? How the hell he even get? What did you tell this person? Xbox Live? Most you can get off that is what, an IP address? He tried to find you at work. Oh yeah, that's your fault. Somebody done ratted.
And worked second shift at my local movie theater. It was Friday night, my weekend had just begun. I was on Xbox Live and playing Overwatch, eating now cold pizza like lots of my friends were. I was kicking considerable ass, more than I usually was at this game, and I was on fire for non-Overwatch players. It basically means you're doing really good for 3 matches. At around 2 a.m., I decided to step up my game and go into competitive mode. I got into a match at Kings Row, and I was playing fair on defense. I got a 15-player kill streak, but I noticed 5 of those kills were on the same guy, a Bastion. I remember his username. The match goes on for about another minute, and then I get an invite to a party. The gamer tag was the same as the Bastion I just killed for the 6th time. I wasn't in a party since all of my friends had called it a night except for me at that point. I decided that whatever he wanted to say could be interesting, so I added him. Now, I usually expect some kids a few years younger than me to be shit-talking me, but to my surprise, it was a grown man on the other end. More to my surprise, he sounded in his 30s rather than closer to my age, and he had a thick Spanish accent. Immediately, this guy starts cussing me out. I can't lie when I say I half expected this to happen when I got a party invite.
It'd be like
Now
that.
I have the mentality where if you're a jerk to me, I'll return the favor. So I reply with the classic, "Oh, you mad, bro?" Guy doesn't acknowledge what I say at all. And instead of saying that he would screw my mom like most people do, they said, "Screw your entire family. I'll make sure to decapitate your mother and make your dad screw her down the throat." I was sort of shocked by this, but it didn't last. I told him to take a chill pill. "No, I want you to," and he stopped. I noticed why. A diva on our team had just killed his Bastion hero again. Now, this is where things get scary. It sounded as if he turned into a rabid animal that was trying to suffocate itself on the mic and screaming and howling and spitting all at the same time. It's difficult to describe what exactly sound he was making, but that's the closest I can do. Inhumane noises were coming from this person as if he was being gutted and possessed by a demon at the same time. It was a grown man too, which made the entire thing scary.
Just a little crazy. That's what that is.
When a 12-year-old loses it. The match ended. The enemy team that didn't get the payload moving at all. The man loses his stuff some more because he lost. Then I decide to be a jerk again and not take this clearly crazy guy's shit. Look, man, it's not my fault you suck at this game. You're just being treated like the child you really are. So just grow up. I didn't like this. He literally screamed at the top of his lungs. F you. Into the microphone for no joke like 20 seconds. It started getting all crackly. He was being so loud he was breaking his mic. He then removed me from the party. I decided that since the match was over, I decided to call it a night, just like my friends had. My overall reaction to what went down was, okay, that was something. I logged out and turned off my Xbox and went to bed. As soon as my head hit the pillow, I realized how much of a dummy I was for not recording any of it. My friends would have lost it when they heard it. Then I fell asleep. Saturday went by with nothing, and I thought that was that with the weird Spanish dude. Sunday was after Saturday, and I logged onto my Xbox that morning to play more Overwatch. I noticed I had a message from the guy saying, "Good morning," with my full name, and I know you have to go to insert address of the movie theater I work at tomorrow. What the heck? I said aloud. I decided to pull out my phone and take a picture of the TV screen. I then texted my boss about it and told her that some guy on Xbox somehow found where I worked. Now, my boss is a weird old lady, so she naturally didn't care what happened. Even though it concerned my work, she just blew it off and told me I still had to come in the next day.
See, that's your problem. You should have called the police. They should have been the first person you texted. I'm sending you, go ahead and take a picture of the message. This is what was said. He made some more threats yesterday. Somebody need to do something. Somebody need to do something. Then after that, that's when you tell you, but hey, look, I was told not to come in today. Who told you not to come in today? The police. Now, if you want them to come up there and tell you to take your ass home too, we can do that.
Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom and The Incredibles 2 are both hot right now, so we're going to be busy. I ended up coming the next day at 5:30. It was pretty boring and busy like I predicted. Up until about 8 o'clock when a super short guy came in through the door.
Oh, you like
it
the
was
penguin?
Loud and pretty crowded, but the guy hollers my name. The same thick Spanish accent from Xbox. It was him. I still to this day don't know where he got my info from or why he decided to come all the way to where I worked.
That's some searching you need to do.
I just walked to the back room where my boss was and told her that the guy from Xbox was inside. She repeated the whole, "I don't care what happens to you on the game. Get back to work. We're busy." I repeated to tell her that the guy was inside the building. I didn't know if he wanted to hurt me or not and that I was going to call the cops. I ended up actually calling the police. It wasn't until they arrived and spoke to me privately in the back room that my boss ended up taking me seriously. The Spanish guy was still inside the lobby and the cops put him in cuffs and walked him out. This is according to my boss. I was in the back room so I couldn't witness it. I still haven't heard anything from the police and I still don't know how he found my info or why he came all the way to where I worked. And I still don't know what he planned to do to me. Either way, I'm still a bit shaken up over it. I don't know if he knows my home address or not, and I'm pretty much on guard 24/7. Either way, I own 2 dogs that can scare off anyone, but I'm still terrified of this dude.
Obviously, they can't scare off anyone then, because with that, you talking about, you gonna put your trust in some dogs? All I gotta do is bring them a cheeseburger, and they don't care about you no more. That's what you want to do. I'll bring a raw steak or 2. Hey, y'all want this? Anyway, let me go ahead and get at you. Let me go ahead and get at your human real quick. They're gonna be throwing down. They don't care about you, man. But anyway, that's gonna do it for this video, y'all. I'll catch y'all in the next one. Eat some fruit, get you some money, and stay out of stupid situations. Like, and if something happens, just call the police. Catch y'all in the next one.